Travelers are increasingly being stopped at the gate as they attempt to board their flights. Today's video covers the most common reasons that airlines will deny passengers from getting on the plane and how you can avoid it from happening to you. And you definitely want to avoid it. The first reason that travelers are stopped at the boarding gate is due to refusing to check their carry-on suitcase to baggage claim. Airlines are cracking down on carry-on size and quantity limits, often referred to as the carry-on crackdown. If your suitcase exceeds the size requirements, you may be asked to check it to baggage claim at the boarding gate. This separates you from your belongings and puts them at risk of being damaged, lost, or stolen. Some airlines may also charge a last-minute fee of up to $100 to check your suitcase if it exceeds their size requirement. Even in a case where your carry-on meets the size requirements, there may not be enough space in the overhead bins for everyone's carry-on suitcase, and therefore, some passengers are going to be asked to check it to baggage claim. If you refuse to check your carry-on at the boarding gate, you may be denied from getting on the plane. This happened to a couple on WestJet who refused to check their carry-ons containing essential medications, and they were removed from the flight. There's also the case of a world-famous violinist who was given two options: either check her 200-year-old violin to baggage claim or leave it behind at the airport in order to get on her flight. Talk about a lose-lose situation. Airlines are guilty of losing and damaging checked luggage all the time, so it's understandable that passengers would push back when they're asked to check in their carry-on suitcases. However, refusing to comply could result in being denied boarding and missing the flight altogether. Another common reason that travelers are denied from boarding the flight would be missing the gate's closing time, which can sometimes change without notice. Airlines typically close the gate 15 minutes before the flight's scheduled departure, and once it's closed, you will not be able to get on the plane no matter how much you plead and beg with the gate agents. Often you won't even have the opportunity, as gate agents tend to be gone within moments of the gate closing. In some cases, airlines may even close the gate early if all passengers have checked in, allowing the flight to depart ahead of schedule. This happens frequently on both domestic and international flights. If you arrive after the gate is closed, you will not be getting on that flight, regardless of the boarding and flight time that is printed on your ticket. I once ran through the airport after hearing my name on a final boarding call announcement over the airport speakers, despite the fact that boarding wasn't even supposed to begin for another 30 minutes. Keep in mind that the check-in desks before you go through airport security also have cutoff times for checking in for your flight and for dropping bags. It's always best to double-check what the cutoff time is, since recently airlines have faced criticism for updating these times without effectively informing passengers. Another reason that you might be stopped from getting on the plane at the boarding gate would be if the personal details that are on your flight ticket do not match the details of your passport or your government ID. Airports and airlines follow strict security protocols, often mandated by agencies like the TSA in the US, to ensure that the person boarding the plane is the same individual who was screened and authorized to travel. This means the name on your boarding pass must exactly match the name on your government-issued ID. When my brother was taking a trip with his college friends and booking flights for the very first time, he thought it would be hilarious to book his friend David under the flight ticket name of Fluffy McKittens. Thankfully, we found out about this hilarious joke well before the actual flight's departure, and he was able to call the airline and have the name changed. It did cost him a $100 name change fee, but that was much better than David showing up at the airport and being denied from boarding the flight due to his ticket reading Fluffy McKittens. Something as simple as misspelling your name when booking a flight, or using your maiden name, like what happened to Francesca, who couldn't travel to France with her family because the name on her ticket did not match her passport. Another common mistake when buying a flight ticket online and filling in your personal details would be using a nickname instead of your full name, such as using Ollie Smith instead of Oliver Smith if that's what your passport says, or Meg instead of Megan. Always try to use the exact same name, even with the middle name if you can, although you don't always need it, that is on your passport or your government ID that you plan to travel with at the time of booking your ticket. I often get asked about traveling with Ollie, but to be honest, he has not flown yet. Airports across the US are introducing facial recognition technology, which allows passengers to board flights by scanning their face instead of showing ID. And refusing to use this new technology could lead to delays or even being denied boarding the flight. As you go to board the plane, a camera at the gate takes a picture of your face and matches it to your passport or visa photo in a government database. Once verified, you can board the flight without showing a boarding pass or any form of ID. There has been significant pushback due to privacy concerns and fears of government surveillance, which has led many travelers to opt out of facial recognition technology at the airport. For domestic flights across the United States, anyone can opt out and have their documents manually verified instead. However, for international flights, it's different. US citizens, permanent residents, and Canadian citizens, along with a few other groups of people, can opt out. But if you're not in one of these exempt categories, refusing to use the new technology will likely result in you not being able to take that flight. Let us know down in the comments if you have seen this new facial recognition technology at the airport. I did experience it for the first time on a recent flight home from VidSummit in Dallas last week, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much it sped up the boarding process. I think I'm a fan. And if you are enjoying this video, then definitely hit that subscribe button, as it's a free and easy way to support the channel and help these videos reach more people. Airlines have the right to refuse boarding if they believe you'll cause issues for other passengers or for crew members. Denied boarding can happen if an airline employee deems you unfit to fly, which could be due to a number of reasons. If you're visibly drunk or high, airlines can deny boarding to prevent potential disruptions or safety concerns. If you're too sick and the airline staff thinks you could pose a health risk to others, or that you'll be unable to handle the flight, they can also stop you from boarding. It's good to know that airlines also have dress codes, and while they vary by airline, passengers can be denied boarding if their outfit is deemed inappropriate. For example, there have been cases of travelers being refused entry to the plane for wearing revealing clothing or offensive clothing. Acting aggressively, being rude to crew members, or showing signs that you might cause a disturbance can lead to denied boarding as well. In some cases, passengers have claimed that they were kicked off of a flight or not able to get on the flight at all after insulting a flight attendant or arguing with crew members. Even if you do everything right and you're on your best behavior and you make it through airport security and you arrive at the gate on time, you may still be denied from boarding the flight due to the airline overbooking that flight. Airlines routinely sell more tickets than there are seats on a plane, assuming that some travelers are not going to show up for the flight. In the case that everyone does show up for the flight, the airline will ask for volunteers to give up their seat in exchange for compensation. Sometimes, you'll even be asked during the online check-in process if you want to place a bid for a payout in exchange for taking a different flight. You can either choose a recommended amount or enter a custom amount, and if your bid is accepted, with the lower bids often being accepted first, you'll be called up to the boarding gate to discuss the new flight. Know that this bid isn't binding, and you can absolutely say, "No, I do not want to take another flight," even if they offer you the amount that you put in for the bid. If no one volunteers to take a different flight in exchange for compensation, the airline has to choose passengers to bump from the flight. If you end up being denied boarding due to an overbooked flight, you could be entitled to significant compensation. I'll link to a page in the description where you can find out exactly what US airlines will owe you in a situation where you are involuntarily bumped from a flight. In rare cases, airlines have also made the news for making big mistakes and denying passengers from boarding the flight or even checking in for the flight due to unexpected reasons, such as accidentally placing them on a no-fly list. That would suck. This is exactly what happened to Erin, who was banned from flying with American Airlines and found out on the day of her flight while at the airport. This embarrassing and confusing situation led her to buy a last-minute ticket on another airline for $1,000 in order to make her sister's wedding. A few weeks later, she found out that she was on this no-fly list for apparently having sexual relations with a man during a flight while intoxicated. It turned out to be a case of mistaken identity, and she eventually won her case and had it resolved. The fact that Erin is a lesbian and wasn't even on the flight that she was accused of doing this on definitely helped her case. While situations like this are rare, they show that unexpected mistakes can happen, and sometimes the airline might not even catch it until you're at the gate attempting to board the flight. While denied boarding is a real concern, the more common issue that you'll likely face is having to pay extra fees or being forced to check in your carry-on suitcase at the gate due to the new strict rules for carry-on luggage. Airlines are tightening their policies on what passengers can and can't bring on board flights, and even if the rules haven't changed according to the rules on the airline's website, they are being enforced in a way that they were not being enforced before. I'll put a video on the screen now, as well as link it in the description for you to watch next, as it covers what the carry-on crackdown is and what you need to know about bringing a suitcase and a personal item on board your next flight. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join us back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and I will see you in that next video soon. Thanks for watching and safe travels. Bye.